Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about The Flash Season 9, Episode 13, the series finale. This is just my thoughts on it. Because, whew, well, one reason why it's my thoughts is because of the simple fact that I stopped watching The Flash in season 4, episode 2. At that point in time, I just had enough. I think the first 3 seasons were really, really good. I got really tired of the CW formula. I got tired of the Arrowverse formula. I got tired of hearing about people's feelings. I got tired of Barry talking about how he can't defeat this person and he needs a pep talk to defeat this person and all that other crap. So after a while, I just started to get annoyed by it and stuff. And so I stopped watching it. And that was around the time I stopped watching everything Arrowverse related. And so, because everything was just starting to take a toll, everything was starting to feel and sound the same, and it was just getting too much for me. And so, but because I used to be a fan of the Flash when it started, you know, it's I decided that I was going to, watch the finale, see how it is, just to, cause I started the Arrowverse with everybody else, saying with Arrow, episode 1 and of season 1 and stuff like that. And I watched the other shows and, and it was just I felt like I had to finish it out. You know what I'm saying? Even though I stopped watching it, I would watch the crossover and stuff. I just had to finish it out. And so because of that, I decided not to watch the last season because I figured it would just be the same old boring stuff that got irritated with me, you know what I'm saying? But I watched the clips online of the Batwoman stuff because I was really curious about that, and I was really sad when Batwoman ended and stuff like that. And so I saw that they defeated Red Death with the power of love. Oh God, the power of love. I'm so tired of that. And so but the costume was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but it was all right. You know what I'm saying? And so I just decided not to watch the last season. But the Flash, when they had that backdoor pilot in Arrow, I was excited. I was ecstatic because I'm a fan of the Flash. You know what I'm saying? Because of Bruce Timm's Justice League series. And so I don't know. As I'm talking about this, I'm reading something online. A Canadian actress, Samantha Weinstein, she passed away from ovarian cancer. May she rest in peace. I remember her she played young Erica in Being Erica. Oh, that's so sad. She was in the Carrie remake. Ah, that's so sad. I hate cancer so much. Anyway, let's get back on track. So, it was cool. I was all why the dude has brunette hair and he's supposed to be blonde, but hey, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And Grant Gustin proved to be a very good Flash and everything, a very good Barry Allen. At first, they kind of had him a little comedic, trying to be like Wally West and everything, and that was annoying because every Barry Allen they've tried to make comedic recently in the past decade or so. And so when it started off and everything, it was cool getting to see the origin. It was cool seeing him do his makeshift suit. It was cool having Cisco help him around. It was I didn't even realize Cisco and Caitlin were amalgamations of comic books characters and stuff. I had no idea he was Vibe and she was Killer Frost. And so that was a really interesting dynamic, and I like how they world build on that. and with the whole Ronnie thing and Wells thing and Reverse Flash thing, and then they brought in Wesley John Ships, and as like his father, I'm like, oh man, this is kind of cool. They're really cooking over here, like they're really world building. You know what I'm saying? And it was a really fun experience for what it was, and it was really cool to see the CGI. Back then, they didn't rely too much on on the lightning, like they would show his face at times when he was running, but the for cost measures, they just resorted to like the lightning effect, which gets kind of irritating because it just feels like lightning going around everywhere. And but other than that, it was really cool. It was cool 'cause even though it was like a story arc, they still had episodic episodes, and like they had a lot of his villains show up and stuff like that. They didn't always do them proper, but they still showed up. So it was a really good experience for what it was worth. The villains were great and everything. I love the Wells Reverse Flash. The other Eobard Thong, the blonde one, he just doesn't seem to resonate that good as like the Reverse Flash, which is probably why they always get rid of him. I feel bad for the actor because technically he is the real Eobard Thong and everything. But he's just not as menacing as the Wells dude, as the Kavanaugh dude is. And and it was just like a really, really like good time I had back then. And like Zoom, man, he was awesome in season 2. Had a great costume. I really thought he was like, Jay Garrett and everything. Then in season 3, that's when things started kind of weighing down a little bit. Starting to get a little unfocused. The Zoom, not Zoom, but Savitar, the Savitar costume. It looked menacing, but it was just kind of ridiculous. It's like, really, how is that big old thing supposed to run that fast? And it was just kind of odd. And so they had this whole story of who's underneath the costume. And after a while, people started to suspect, okay, maybe it's an evil version of Barry Allen. And it was one of his remnants type thing. And so, like, and then Caitlyn became like Killer Frost at that time, and Vibe was starting to be Vibe and stuff like that. And they had the fake out of Wells and like, Iris, which I did not mind. And then they had a really cool finale. He saved the day, he conquered his evil self, and then all of a sudden the Speed Force is out of whack and he has to fix that. And they did a lot of good storylines from the comics, like flashpoints. They had to like do their own version of it and stuff. And it was like a really fun experience. But then after a while, I just got burnt out and I got tired of it. But in this finale, I kind of wish I never watched it. Like I should have never watched it. I would have been content on where I stopped many years ago. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that was my ending and stuff. Him going into the Speed Force, fixing it. And then, of course, him coming out and stuff like that and reuniting with his friends and family. That I should have just stopped right then and there. But I did not. And I regret watching this finale. Now, back in the day, they had a different showrunner. I forget the original showrunner name or what happened to that person. I don't know if it was Greg or what, But this new dude, Eric Wallace, apparently a lot of fans do not like him. And I can see why from a little like snippets of here and there and hearing people complain and stuff. And it was kind of like, if this man couldn't cook, they should have replaced him and everything. And so like this finale didn't even really feel too much like a finale. And not only that, but it was very underwhelming. It should have been at least 2 hours. If you're gonna bring in his like rogues of like speedsters, then the Flash team should have been a team of speedsters, or it should have just been Flash taking them all out one by one. Now, I will say, because I haven't watched it in forever, I am a bit confused at stuff. I don't like when I stopped watching, Cecile did not have powers, but now she does. And from what people have been saying online, she only gets that superhero suit in like the far future. So how did the present day one get it? And it was never explained. I know Nora's been popping in and out of seasons for a while now. She's like the future daughter of like Barry, and there's Bert and everything. I saw clips of those years ago. And yeah, I do agree with people. She's like an adult but they have her talking like a kid. Like, that's just weird. I don't understand that. Like, why would you bring this adult from the future back into the past only to have her act like a juvenile and stuff? It's just weird. And it is funny how like she's older in real life than Grant and she plays his daughter. But she is like she looks so young, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's weird to see her act so oddly and stuff. And I don't even know what happened to Bart and everything. Like, what happened to him? Like, why isn't he in this and stuff like that? Like, did something happen, I wonder, in the last seasons that prevented like him from showing up? And then there's Wally. What the heck happened to him? I know the actor has been like going through like personal stuff and he wanted to leave the show, and then they will bring him like back on the Flash only to take him off, then they will bring him on Legends and then only to take him off. And I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but for whatever reason he's not really on the show no more, and that really disappointed me, because who doesn't love technically just Wally West in general? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Wally West. That's that's the Flash I grew up in when I was an adult and everything, watching on the Bruce Timm stuff. And so I remember at first they had him and they had him being edgy, like they always do their teen sidekicks now, and like it was unflattering because he's supposed to be comedic relief. But then later on they started changing him up and started making him a little bit more comic books accurate, only for him to really to disappear and stuff like that. So I felt like he should have been in this. I felt like if you were going to have Zoom, where the heck was Jessie Quick? Bring her into this. She hasn't shown up in forever. Like, Barry knows how to cross the multiverse. Why didn't he bring any other speedsters in and stuff? And, I think, what was it? Velocity Man? And, like, he kept, like, making cameos in earlier seasons, and people really wanted to see him and stuff like that. And so it was underwhelming not getting to see the other speedsters to help him out, because that would have made a whole lot more sense. And then you had the speedsters of the negative force of the rogues and everything. Of course, they were brought back from the moment before they died. And it was cool seeing them all, you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like, man, this is going to be an epic episode. There's going to be a lot of running, a lot of fighting, but there was really none of that. Like, there was running, sure, but they all had the same red lightning effect because they're part of the negative speed force, which was weird and was confusing at the same time. You didn't know who was who. And so, like, having the villains in there was very underwhelming. Like, it just really was, because it was kind of like, what was the point in bringing them in if you weren't going to do them justice and get rid of them so quickly and everything? The way they got defeated was just embarrassing, to tell you the truth. It was just like, it was embarrassing. That's all there is to say. It was embarrassing. And so, like, they had his sidekicks, Team Flash, defeat all the villains within a couple of seconds. Basically, what happened is they all line up, they all take point, they do their maneuvers, they fly around, they run around, they do whatever they do, and literally all the villains got defeated. Like, it felt like under 30 seconds. It really did. Some people say it was 10 minutes. I don't think so. I don't remember the clip online being that long. It was very, very, very quick. And then the way they defeated them was odd. These speedsters are supposed to be super strong, super fast, super smart. And it took Barry the entire season to defeat them. And they literally defeated them with ease. Like, Savitar and Nora, they fought and he stabbed her. So I'm like, oh no, she did. But then you see her stomach vibrate. But then it's like, when did it vibrate exactly? Because you saw her get stabbed. So was she vibrating the entire time? Like, the moment it went in her, it should have killed her or hurt her. So when did she have time to vibe herself on out of there? Then she ran around him really fast and stabbed him with the piece of metal that was in her body. But how did she break it off? She's not that strong. Also, his suit is very thick. How did it even go through him and kill him? Not to mention, that's technically her father, an evil version. And she had no remorse when killing him and stuff. Then they had like, Cecile basically like I think she was using like telepathy and telekinesis and stuff like that. She was like deflecting here and there, kind of like Jean Grey. And then I forget exactly how she defeated him, but she defeated him very quickly too. And then there's Wells. He went to, I think his name is Curtis. I don't even know who that dude is. The black dude and his girlfriend. I don't know who them people are because I stopped watching the show. And I don't even know what her powers are. I can't even remember, but she defeated him very easily. Also, how is the black dude not dead? He got hit with so many volts of lightning. He should have been dead, and he's not. And that's weird. And she defeated him very easily. And he's one of the evilest of them all and everything. And then there's the whole Caitlyn thing. I don't know when she became Mother Nature, a goddess, but KO, I think her name is, but whatever. What happened to her ice power? That's one thing that's always pissed me off about her. They were never consistent on her whole Killer Frost persona ice power thing. They kept retconning it every season to where it got annoying. But she defeated him somehow. I think she absorbed like, the lightning and everything. Also, why did Zoom run around a circle for a very, 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 very long time? I know he was trying to replicate what he does in season 2, but that was just too long and too much. And so, like, then you have Barry and Cobalt Blue, which, as silly as that costume looks, it is comic book accurate, so I can give them that. I've been wanting to see Eddie be evil for a very long time. I don't understand what the purpose of this crystal thing is. I probably should have watched the season. But all I know is that Jay Garrett comes in and somehow absorbs his lightning and is all like, oh, I learned that from my counterpart from the World 1990 or something like that. And that dude died. So when did he learn that from his counterpart? I guess it was off screen, or everything's off screen with this show. But it's like, that version from the 90s show died. And I never watched the 90s show. I know there's a dude on YouTube named Oliver something. I used to watch his videos. I forget his name. He does mostly movies, but he did talk about the Flash television show because he grew up with that. And so try to find that video. But I don't remember him ever saying that Flash could do that, but hey, whatever. And so then something weird kind of just happens. It's just like Cobalt is able to absorb all the negative speed force from all the rogues, and their bodies disintegrate. So he literally absorbed them in their essence. And so it's kind of just like, well, what was the point in having them there? You know what I'm saying? He could have just absorbed the negative speed force to begin with. And why didn't he? Well, he could have just brought them back from the land of the dead, from the living, and then just absorbed them anyway. They didn't have to fight like the sidekicks and make the villains look like punks and everything. Now, I will say Eddie taunting Iris in the hospital with Barry was cool and menacing, and it had me kind of scared. But then, you have Eddie going back into the negative speed force, and Barry is, oh no, he's doing his I can't do it crap again. Why would you bring that back from the earlier seasons? I heard he stopped doing that. So why in the world would you bring that back? So he does the whole I'm a coward, I'm a wimp, I can't do this. And he has to have a pep talk. A literal pep talk and everything. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy, Jesus. So he goes into the negative speed force and he defeats Eddie with the power of stinking love. And I'm just kind of like, you got to be kidding me. That's all it took was the power of love. Now, I will say this. The Flash has always been one of those sympathetic heroes in DC. People, for some reason, relate to him just like they relate to Spider-Man. And the Justice League Unlimited cartoon series, Bruce Timm had an episode dedicated to where Batman and Orion had to, partner with him, and he was able to defeat like, some of his villains, like he was able to defeat what's that dude Mark Hamill played back in the day, the goofy looking person um who fought the Flash. Anyway, he talked that dude down. The dude suffered from mental illness, and the Flash was able to talk him down. And Orion didn't understand all that, but Batman said it's what makes the Flash the Flash. And so I get what they were going for here, but this is a finale. You gotta go wham bam thank you ma'am. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I really wanted to see people run really fast and punch the crap out of each other, and you never got that. And I'm just kind of like, dude, this totally sucks. Because I remember in animation, you see that they run fast and they punch each other. And that's so cool, but you don't get to see that here. And it's kind of like, remember that very first crossover? No, not the very first, the second crossover between, like, the Flash and Arrow, when the Flash actually became the Flash, and the Flash got like corrupted, like brainwashed, and him and Oliver fought. And remember how cool that fight was with Barry running around him and punching the crap out of him? Where was that in the finale? Like, my God. And there was no Cisco. Man, that was kind of sad, because he was part of this family. But for whatever reason, the actor didn't show up. And you have to call it quits on the show when every star on the show quits. Everyone quit. But they was able to wrangle in Gustin, I guess, for money. But every main star of this show from the beginning quit this show a couple of seasons ago. And that's how you know when a show needs to just end. But they wrangled it in for one more season, which is season 9. And that shouldn't just never happen. And so, like, of course, evil is now defeated. Nora got to experience herself being born and got to hold herself. Let's see what else happened after that. I don't. Caitlyn did this really cool Avatar Last Airbender type thing, where KO kind of just left her body and Caitlyn showed back up, and I'm still confused about that entire thing. There was barely no Iris West type stuff. No. Well, not Iris West. Yeah, there was no, what it's called, Alan West, or whatever they call that online. There was no Barry, there was no Iris, like, not that much, like, bonding moment. You think those two, because that's the thing about them. And when I first watched the first 3 seasons, it was hard for those two to be together. He loved her. She was kind of like a step sibling to him because Joe, like, adopted him and stuff. And so, like, he could never be with her because of that fact. But then when they got older, he just always yearned for her. And she was always dating other people. And he really wanted her. And then he finally got her at the end of season 3 for him to go on the negative speed force. He comes out, they start dating, they get married, they find out they have a future kid. You'd think there would have been more scenes with those two. And so why wasn't there? And it makes you wonder, what the heck happened behind the scenes that probably prevented that? Like, was it because I heard that he had COVID at one point, so maybe that was one reason why. I know she wanted to leave the show much earlier in season 8 and everything, so she only did a couple of episodes, and the show was supposed to end in season 8 until they wrangled him in, and they got season 9, so maybe that caused a little friction, maybe, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's really no telling. And so, like, then, like, he tells the story to baby Nora about, like, the book that his mom had. And so, like, he talks about his experiences, and then he's all like, this thing hit me by accident and it changed his life. And since he is the avatar of the positive speed force, why don't he, like, give it to other people? So, so he won't be, I guess, the only person tethered to it, I guess, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, and also, since there can be more heroes to help out, since he's now a family man, and he realizes, there's always going to be evil, the reverse flashes will always come back. And so he gives it to three people. And as he was giving it to those three people, I didn't necessarily recognize the names. I did recognize the Mercury dude. I think it was Max Mercury, because like I remember researching the Flash one time and he came up and stuff. And so then I figured, okay, that's what the thing that was so weird. It was almost like they was trying to make a backdoor pilot in a way for those characters and to make like spin-offs to carry on the Arrowverse. In case like the whole Black Canary Arrow show that they tried to do with the female heroes and stuff. It's like they was trying to make a spin-off in case somebody wanted to see more Flash. And so when he threw the lightning bolts up in the air, it would have been more better if they just would have landed on people, but you couldn't see them land on people. Like say it's a far away distance and you see it go inside a building, or you see it go inside a car or something like that. Then you don't know who it hit. But the moment people started saying their names as like an Easter egg, then it kind of ruined that moment a little bit. Because now you're never ever going to see these characters in live action. That's kind of how I felt with Titans when they did that big tease in season 3 of all the sidekick Robins and Bat family that Batman was spying on. It's kind of like, well, I'm never gonna see these people because they're not doing it in Gotham no more and all this other crap, and now the show is canceled. And so this season just felt very underwhelming and everything. Or the season finale, I should say. It didn't feel whole. It felt very rushed. And honestly, a person could easily just skip it and they will never know, it wouldn't even matter. They could literally just skip this like finale and everything. And finales are supposed to be epic. They're supposed to give you something to relax about for decades. Like Star Trek, the Next Generation finale, or the Star Trek Voyager finale, or Person of Interest finale. All those seasons gives you a sense of relief. And with that relief, you don't feel like you're being teased. You don't feel like, oh, they have more stories to pump out. You don't feel like you need anything else because you're fine. But in Star Trek, they do the movies and stuff like that. And now they started coming back with the new Trek and stuff like that. But for the most part, you are satisfied. Xena is kind of another one. She died at the end. And that's it. Her spirit lives on with Gabrielle. They set it all the way up to where she's been reincarnated in the future. They have clone versions of her. So she's good. You know what I'm saying? You're at ease and everything. Buffy, not so much, because Buffy did that crap where she activated all the Slayers before it was time for them to be activated. So then you're kind of like, well, I want to see this Slayer in action, or this Slayer, or, oh, wait, you cast this person who I'm a fan of? Oh, I want to see that person more. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how kind of like this finale felt. It didn't feel satisfying at all. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.